Good morning. Our hand today is going to be Ace King. We are in position right now. So on this board, our early position player raises. I've got almost 100 hands on him. He's playing 27-20. Looks a little bit. Looks like he might be a loose player. I don't have him 3-betting at all out of 26 attempts, so not fully a lag, but definitely looser. His raise first in early position is 30%, so 6 out of 20. For that, I went ahead and said this might be his pre-flop raising range. It might be a little wide, though, but few hands. We don't have a huge set of hands on him. So it folds to me. I 3-bet. My 3-betting range looks like this. I'm on the button versus an early position player, definitely skewed towards strong hands. And then the player calls. So at that point, I said that he probably got rid of the rest of his suited aces. I think so. I think a lot of people end up doing it. Maybe we could include it, but I'm going to say he drops it. And I say that because his fold to 3-bet stat after raising is 50%. 1 out of 2. So I do think he's probably going to get rid of some of his weakest hands. And I said like King 10. I left the Queen 10 in there because it's often a straight. I think it's only one gap, or people tend to value it a little bit more. We could probably get rid of aces, kings, ace, kings, and queens, and assume that he would have 4-bet that. We're going to leave it in right now, and then maybe drop him out and see how that changes. So the flop then comes out 9-7-6. He checks, and what do we do? So in this hand, I bet. I looked at this and said, okay, his early position, it's unlikely that he connects with this. I am targeting the unpaired cards, the overcards, to really try to get them just to fold. Try to get them fold here. If they don't, then the question is, should I continue firing? Right now, there is a possible straight on the board, but he has to have 8-10, and I don't think he has that at all. So let's check it out. I've got the ranges. Player's going to check 100%. I think that's pretty good. And then it's on us. What should we do? And I think it's pretty good to see that we are playing a mixed strategy. We're going to be betting aces, and then kind of half the time bet kings, half the time not. We're checking ace-king suited. Even the backdoor straight draws, or backdoor flush draws. With ace-king, it's going to be a mix. We're going to be betting some. We're going to be checking some. I've got ace diamonds, king of hearts. So ace of diamonds, king of hearts. If we look at that, we're betting 53% of the time. So I think a c-bet's appropriate. We're also c-betting like ace 4 suited. We do have quite a few overpairs in our range, queens, kings, and aces. I mean, that's 18 combinations. Ace kings, though, we've got 16 of those, plus another 8 of these unsuited. So more than 50% of the time, we don't have a pair, but it's not by much. So I did bet, and I think that's okay. And now if Villain plays GTO, he's going to be calling 42% of the time. He's going to be calling. He should be 3-betting with 9s, 9-8, 8-7, 7s. I think it's interesting. He's calling with 8s with an open ender, pair with the open ender. I think that's interesting. He's calling with 8s, but he's 3-betting basically, or check raising 6s, 7s, 9s, trips. He's calling with kings, queens, and jacks. And I think that makes sense. You're calling because my range is so strong. I have a lot of overpairs that will beat you, and you don't really want to get into a whole lot of trouble here. So he does call. And then a 4 diamonds comes out. So 4 diamonds comes out. I still have him checking, not going to be donking. And now, once I bet, we're always betting. We're going to be betting for value aces. Now we're going to be betting for value with kings. So this is now we bet again kings. We're going to be betting some of the queens. Definitely, if we don't have the queen of diamonds, that's a good sign because it makes it more likely that our villain could have the queen of diamonds. And could call with the flush draw. We're still betting with ace 4, ace 5. Those are, I'm sure, included just to offset these combinations. What about ace king? Ace king is still about betting half the time. So we had ace diamonds, king of hearts. Right? Ace diamonds, king of hearts. Against a GTO opponent, it does suggest we should be betting. And that's not just any sort of betting, but you can see we're betting basically 100% of the time. All the combos that we see bet with, we should now be betting. So I did bet, and now villain's going to be calling with hands that essentially beat us. Nines, tens plus, tens, jacks, queens, kings. He is folding some jacks, but I bet most players don't fold jacks. I think they are calling with jacks 100%. They're calling with tens. They're calling with any overpair if they didn't raise. So I did bet, so that I think is good. And then he calls, and then we see a jack of clubs. So jack of clubs comes out. He checks. Now it's on us, and now we should be betting basically everything that we have, minus the ace 5 and ace 4. So this definitely helps. So according to this, if we bet, now we are getting called by kings, queens. We're only going to be getting called by hands that beat us, it looks like. Which I guess we're folding out ace king. We're folding out ace 10. And we should be getting some folds by tens, some folds by, nines, for 3 streets. But I'm going to say I don't like this. So based on what they're assuming, we're going to be betting with ace king, but checking with ace 4, ace 5. I actually don't like this ace king because I think he's calling. So let's adjust this. Let's say he is always calling with any pair. We'll say with any pair. And without a doubt, I'm going to guess that it is now one pair. Ace king becomes it. All right, so we're done. So now we're looking at it, and you can see now ace king becomes a complete check. So let's just make sure ace king's still in there. Yep, we've got about 50%, so I see bet. And he calls. And then on the turn, I still have a C bet here. I still like that. A big part of that ace king bet here is that we have the ace of diamonds, so it's less likely that he's going to have the diamond draw, the nut flush diamond draw. So we bet, and then he's going to call, and now it's on us, and yeah, ace king's going to be a check. And the reason being is that we're only getting called by hands that beat us. So our hand really isn't a value hand. What about the fold equity? Well, we don't have it. He's only folding ace king and ace 10. And when we look at those combos, it's actually relatively few combos. So we're not even getting the right price. Maybe if we bet pot, maybe if we bet a little bit smaller, maybe if we did, 10% of the pot, maybe we're getting the odds out. His fold equity makes our play profitable, but it's not. We beat these hands, so there's really no point to. Well, we beat ace 10, we chop with ace king. The only benefit would get ace king to fold so we could take the pot, but I think he's so heavy on those pairs that it doesn't make sense. So it looks like I do play it correctly. Let's go back and do a check here. Let's say we check, and now villain's going to, let's say he checks again. He's suspicious. I think that's a lot of people. And now it looks like we are still, once we take that check line, if villain checks, then it seems like we're going to be checking most of the time. And then, if villain checks again on the river, yeah, it still looks like we're going to be checking. What if we check and villain bets? We do have some calls with ace king, but we're not going to be raising much. I think we're just going to be calling here. So then, when we call, if he bets again, we're going to be calling. And we'll have to call with some ace kings just because if he's bluffing. But we have very few raises. Very few raises. I think most likely if he bets and we call, then he'll probably check. And that's going to allow us then to bet kings and queens for value. Does anything change if we eliminate the hands that I think he would have 4-bet? So I raised. So let's try that. And we're going to say kind of assumptions and everything. All right, so we run it. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So villain checks. Our ace king still 50-50. So let's say we bet. And now villain's going to call if he plays GTO. And I don't know if he would or not. So he calls, and then we're still going to be betting again. So I think that's pretty good. He's still calling, and then villain checks again, and now you can see that ace king still stays the check. So I think overall I played this hand okay. How did the hand play out since we checked the river? Villain shows eights. It's in his range. I had it in his range. But I was curious about how to continue, because I thought once he called that turn, I thought, okay, I think I'm in trouble. I don't think he was really calling with the diamonds because I had the ace of diamonds, but I thought, okay, this was pretty innocuous board. I think if I was in his place, I'd probably check call too. Check call with most of my hands, even jacks, queens, kings, and then when he bets a turn again, I would probably still call with all of those. I wouldn't give him credit for aces, kings, and queens, or I wouldn't give myself credit for aces, kings, or queens. But I did think maybe he had a 10, or maybe he had like ace 8, maybe. But I thought once he called the turn, I'm dead. That's it. I'm going to have to slow down. And I like how I played it at that point. I do think if I bet again, he's probably going to be calling the 9s. So if he had ace 9, if he had, 10s, he's going to call. I think if he has jacks, he's going to call. I think if he doesn't believe that I have an overpair, then he's going to call with 9s, 8s, 7s, and so forth. So not too bad. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, look for another hand tomorrow.